therefore make that request.
How long are you going to be, Mr. Richter?
Probably another 5 minutes or so.
I make a motion we let Mr. Richter finish his speech for 5 minutes.
Second by Mrs. Lester.
All right, thank you.
Let's vote. We gotta vote.
Say again?
We have to vote on that. We just made a motion.
Oh,
Roll call.
Ames,
Yes.
Bonner,
Yes.
Cross,
yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Malone,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Prohl,
Yes.
Trutchell.
Yes. Go ahead.
Is it a
Mr.
go
Richter.
time now?
It's a go.
All
Go
right.
ahead.
All right, I'll cut to the chase.
Thank you.
The fellow I call Mr. C, earlier on in the day, had a domestic situation with his girlfriend, wife, whatever. She took the kids and left. So he decided to drown his sorrow in as much alcohol as he could drink. Didn't do much to soothe his sorrowed feelings, but it did bolster his courage, so he got in his car, 1996 Pontiac Grand Prix, got on Route 35 eastbound. Up ahead, in traffic, general flow, was a man I'll call Military Man in his car. This Pontiac passes him, Military Man, high rate of speed. He gets on the, Military Man gets on the phone, calls the State Highway Patrol. Officer on duty said, we don't have any units in the area, but however, he did put out a BOLO alert. Be on a lookout for. All right. Military Man apparently goes in behind the car, get a better description, license number of the car. Now the car's passed him at a high rate of speed. It's now accelerating. Military Man makes a second call. Speed continues up. They hit about 100 miles an hour. Military Man decides to back off and get back in the flow of traffic. All right, let's move at the time of 2300 hours. That's 23 minutes after 6 p.m. The last call went into the Highway Patrol. There's been an accident. My friend's daughter was the first accident. This guy, who was drunk, hit her in the rear end. That wasn't enough. He backs up, cuts the wheel to the left, bypasses on her left side, runs the red light, traffic still flowing into town on the southbound lane, goes through that, gets hit by another car in the northbound lane, and jerked him around about 180 degrees. That's the second accident. Then he starts back up the down lane, the off-ramp. The extreme right hand is a continuous right-hand turn with caution. He starts back up there, and there was a F-250 Ford pickup truck blocking his way, and he rams into that. That's a third accident. Okay? The time now is 18,2900 hours. That's 6 minutes after the accident was called in. Okay? There's 2 highway patrolmen there. They come out and they take charge of the situation. Meanwhile, Military Man arrives at about the time he hit the truck. He sees what's going on. He gets out of his machine dressed in his camouflage fatigues, and the Mr. C's trying to escape on foot now. Military Man goes after him and executes a beautiful takedown maneuver. Meanwhile, down in the other part of the accident, an off-duty policeman's car was involved in one of those. He's coming up to assist Military Man. Military Man and the policeman are holding this guy, and he's screaming, I'm a religious man. This is not all my fault. She took my kids and left. God is going to get me for this. My soul is going to hell. Well, sorry, but you're going to have to wait a little bit, God and devil, because the troopers are taking charge. His blood alcohol was 0.192. That's 2.5 times the legal limit. And it becomes blatantly obvious that this guy was trying to commit suicide by vehicular homicide, and he didn't give a damn how many people he took with him. That is an intentional accident. Red light cameras or no, made no difference. It was there, and that's the only good part was nobody got killed. Not even him.
Mr.
He had
Richter,
enough
you,
cojones, he'd have put a bullet through his head, and it would never happen to begin with.
Mr. Richter, you have 1 minute left.
All right. I think that pretty well paints the picture.
What happened to the military man?
He probably was interviewed by the police and got his part of the story. When I called in, the rest of the other two accidents had not been processed and released yet, so I don't know that part of the story. But he was not physically, other than accosting Mr. C and holding to the highway patrol ride.
I thought you told me they were taking.
Mr. Richter, your time is up.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
There's 2 minutes left of the 15 minutes allotted for the red light cameras. Anyone else wish to speak? Thank you. Brings us to old business. Mrs. Patrick.
I hate to even bring it up, but I forward to council members an excellent email, and it's entitled, "Hello, this is a nice letter about red flex cameras." It was a very long letter and everything, but I just wanted to hit some of the highlights for the public that might not even get a chance to see it. He starts out saying, "Study after study has been done with no absolute conclusion to whether or not the cameras work well, cause more accidents, simply fund our police department, or just stuff the pockets of a company a world away." Again, no absolute conclusion. Then he states, "Before you are mailed a ticket, a trained officer is supposed to scrutinize the findings. He is supposed to use his human and educated judgment to verify if your vehicle was in violation of the law. Much like a parking meter registers the time you've been in a spot, or that little chalk mark on your tire to show if your car has moved in a specific unit of time. After finding a meter's time has expired or a chalk mark unmoved, a human officer looks at the evidence and issues a ticket. Notice I said vehicle was in violation, not if you were. That's because the operator of the vehicle isn't in question, the owner is. When your car leaves your possession, you are trusting whomever is in it to obey the law, just as you trust them not to drink and drive or mishandle it in any other way." Then he continues, and I do agree with this part. He says, "I do agree that people shouldn't have to pay the fine before they get to dispute it. There isn't much argument there. Everyone deserves the right to dispute an accusation, no matter how minor or severe." And then he says, "There have been cases of people receiving 8 or more of these tickets. Maybe they should have their license taken away. The officer reviewing these videos should be able to issue a warrant for a repeat offender. A person with a driving record that bad is basically shooting a gun in a crowd, and it's only a matter of time before someone dies." He goes further. He addresses Chillicothe. He says, "The problem in Chillicothe, Ohio, is the fact that the lights were installed without a vote from the public. Stop signs, traffic signals, parking meter, parking spaces, no parking zones, speed limits, school speed zones, one-way streets, right turn only lanes, left turn only lanes, yellow curbs, emergency snow routes, and many other things have been decided without a vote also. We vote for a city council who is supposed to handle those type of things in the community's best interest. Maybe we need to put all of these decisions up to a vote. I wonder how long voting would take then. I think our founding fathers tried to make it easier for us by letting us elect officials for those hundreds of decisions that must be made to make a city work well. We should leave these things up to the experts who study traffic flow and what a safe speed is in a specific area." And then he goes on to address the money. "If the money made from the legitimate tickets goes to help the city, what does that hurt? Even if a larger percentage goes to red flex, there is a percentage staying here in Chillicothe that we didn't have before, a percentage that might eventually let us hire more officers and have more cruisers on the road, in turn being able to then put the cameras to rest and keep our streets even safer." And he ends his letter with this real-life experience. "I hope that people reading this will think twice about removing the cameras. A few months ago, before the cameras were installed, I was T-boned at an intersection where the cameras are now installed. My van was totaled. My little girl and wife were banged around pretty good. I went from a $22,000 van to a $5,000 auction car. My insurance went up, it doubled, and my family had to see a chiropractor for a bit after. The accident wasn't our fault, yet we are still paying for it. I can't help but thinking that if the camera had been there, maybe the driver of the other vehicle would have been more cautious, or at least would have been paying attention and been able to brake instead of slamming into my van at 35 miles per hour."